Welcome to another Plan and Create with me video in one of my unique paper bag junk journals. This one is for fall and I guess also then later for winter. Maybe you've seen the making of this paper bag junk journal specifically. If not, you can find it linked below. I share a step-by-step tutorial on how I made this using a regular grocery paper bag, covering it with beautiful Tim Holtz fabrics, sewing in the signatures, adding a fun pocket in the back here. I also show you how I build my monthly pages. So in this video, I'm going to share my mostly completed September pages. I'll also share a little bit about what I'm reading, as well as, of course, my new kit for October, which I am super excited about. And then we'll work a little bit on the October pages. So welcome again. It's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So the first thing you might notice if you've seen this page before is that I've changed it completely. I did not like the cover page I had before. I had a different image here from my kit. So for September, I used my kit Bumble Breeze, and I had stamped the word September on top here, and then I hand wrote a quote. I just didn't like the look of it at all, especially since this is like the first page you see when you open this junk journal planner, so it had to be something I really enjoy. So I chose another page. For the front, I embossed the September with gold. I embossed the wings of this bee, as well as its eye, as well as these little buds here on the branch. And I also added some splatters. I'm so much more happy with this now when I open my planner. This makes me smile rather than cringe, which is what the other page did for me. So then moving on, we of course have our monthly overview. My step tracker, which is looking very sad for the past over a week actually, because I was sick, so there was hardly any movement there and it made me very sad. But I'm back on track. Yes, I'm so happy. So this was the first week of September. This collage was inspired by a movie I recently saw, which was the new version of The Crow. So this was a collage from a recent video, which I will also link below, where I worked on 3 different pages. I had so much fun with this collage and I love it dearly. By the way, this is a paper bag here. I could snip this side open, which I actually might do. I'll have to think about it because I do have a few more photos that I want to add. On this one here, I made a collage off camera. This is just a negative of a die cut that I've had forever. I've added some mica stain winter frost underneath because I thought that color would work so well with the background here of this tag. This is of course all from my Bumble Breeze kit. And then I added one of these stickers which I've been trying to use up. They are from this pack, which I've had forever. I cannot link them because I've had these for years, before I started YouTube actually, I think. I have 4 more to use. There were so many in here and I'm so proud that I'm using all of them up slowly now. I have only kept the ones that have more of a winter vibe because they're all dressed quite warmly, so I didn't want to use them during the summer. So these will be used up hopefully by the time this junk journal planner is filled. So proud of that. So maybe you have some stickers you've had forever and you can slowly use up. We made this tag together, I think, in that Plan With Me September video, and I didn't put a single to do on here. That's very interesting. It's not that I didn't have any. Usually I have them in my mind anyway, so I don't always jot them down. This is a very fun spread. I'm super happy with how this turned out. So this is basically my book spread. These are 2 books from a series that I have been enjoying. It's called Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I'm sure I'm butchering her name. I'm so sorry. I will show you how I make these because I want to do it for the current book I'm reading, which is the 3rd in the series. And as you can see, I still have some empty space here, so I still need to add my written review for both of these books. And I just made a border using washi tape because that's something else I really want to use up, and I really love the look out of it. And I had this little page here made out of packaging in between, and I thought how fun would it be to add some fan art from the books onto here. I wouldn't do this for like regular novels. I wouldn't do this for novels. No, I never would. I wouldn't do it for novels either. But for fantasy, I think it's really fun. You can just Google for the series, for example, that you're reading, and then just type in fan art, and you will see tons and tons of images that fans have already created for the characters in the book. So usually I wouldn't do that for anything which is not fantasy, because of course those are like real characters. Hard to explain. I think you know what I mean. And I also don't want to mess with the images I have in my head of the people, but for some reason, for fantasy, I really don't mind. And I actually think it's really fun. And this way you can kind of choose, because usually you will find a lot of options if it's like a popular series like this one is. You know, you can choose which character looks most like the one you have pictured in your mind, for example. And I just think it's very fun. So this here is a picture of Penelope, or Poppy as she's also called, the way she was in this first book. Let me just quickly tell you what this is about, because I'm enjoying this series so much. Actually, let me see, what did I rate? I didn't add my book tracker here yet. Hang on. So going back to my August in my previous planner, I have the book tracker here. By the way, I'll link the book tracker for you below as well. Yeah, so from Blood and Ash, I gave 4 stars. So that's the first book, which I actually read in August, but I never put the actual book cover in it. So I just have these side by side now, which I'm actually very happy to have them on one spread like this. I'm actually enjoying this currently now, especially after having finished book 2 and into book 3 at the moment. I'm enjoying this as much as the Sarah J. Maas Akotar series, so A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I adored. If you follow me, you know that. But this one, I almost want to say it's on another level, which is really hard because I really love that series. But I'm so enjoying this. There's so much banter going on. The only criticism a little bit I have is that the main character, Cass, is constantly all over our female protagonist, Poppy, so her. And it just seems like too much. Like every time they're in the same scene, he's all over her. And it's like, okay, I get it, you're in love, but this is too much. Like there are important things going on. You know what I mean? I love the ongoing love story. I feel like I only enjoy fantasies where there is a love story as well, which is why I usually prefer female fantasy authors, because I think they're better at that. But too much is too much. So I just quickly want to tell you what this is about in case you've never heard about it. So the first book follows Poppy, who's also known as the Maiden. And she's forbidden to be touched or to be spoken to or even to be looked at, which is why we see her here covered with a veil. And she's destined to fulfill a very sacred role. And so she has to spend her life in complete isolation. And of course, over time, she grows more restless and she also questions her fate. She questions everything she is told. And then one day she meets Hawk, who is Cass. And he's a mysterious and captivating guard who turns her whole world completely upside down. The connection they have sparks this rebellion within her, and she begins to uncover very dangerous secrets about the kingdom she lives in and her role and what is expected of her and the true nature of those that are in power in that kingdom. So this book is a blend of romance, fantasy, and action. So this is Poppy, or the Maiden, with her blood dagger, which plays a very significant role, and she always has it strapped to her thigh. And this is a blood tree in the back. I just love this. And so now in the second book here, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. So we see here another image of Poppy, and this is Kieran, who has a bond to Cass. So Cass is the guard from book 1. And in this book, Poppy is kind of struggling with all the revelations and the betrayals from book 1, but she's also navigating her very complicated feelings for Hawk. She is also like thrown deeper into the world of a lot of political intrigue, of ancient prophecies, of very dangerous forces. And she goes on this journey of self-discovery, and she has to decide who to trust and how far she's willing to go to claim her own destiny. So this book dives further into the world building, the exploring alliances, betrayals, and a brewing war, but it also continues the emotional and romantic tension between the main characters. I have to say there is spice in this series. I'm enjoying it a lot. Maybe there's a little bit too much spice at the moment. Not that I mind how it's described. It's just happening a bit too often for me at the moment. But I'm having fun. So I currently feel like a fangirling teenager, and I'm having a blast. So there's that. So this was last week when I'm filming this. I think when this is up, this is 2 weeks ago. This was the second piece of ephemera that I altered in that video where I also made this collage. Inside here is my card with my to-dos. Then this is the week I'm currently in when I'm filming this. And as you can see, I've also added some stenciling here on a lot of the pages. I think that added quite a bit of character. Oh, here I don't have it. But yeah, I love this design and then this design going on. So here, as you can see, I used one of these stickers and just made a very quick collage. I put Lack here, which was a coincidence from a scrap that I had. And she's looking pretty sad, which was perfect for me because I was so sad because, first of all, I was still sick when I made this collage. So I've been sick for about 1.5 weeks. Also, we had extreme floods in Austria and it was raining for 7 or 8 days straight. So that was my mood at the time. So that was perfect. Here I added a pocket from another kit, because maybe you've seen my recent video in which I refreshed and tidied up my craft room. If not, you can find that linked below as well. And in that video, I came across all these ephemera pieces that I had already cut out from previous kits. And I think it's super fun to mix and match these with current kits. So I found this one here, which I thought fit color-wise perfectly. And this is from my scrapbooking pages. Then we're back to the B kit, and here I decided to add a tuck spot sideways, which I have never done. I have put it, this way, which would be like the normal thing to do. I've put it upside down so that you stick your piece of ephemera, like you slide it in from the bottom. For some reason, I've never done it sideways, and I just love this. And you just pull out the tag sideways, added the sentiment, which is part of the ephemera kit, added a piece of a napkin underneath. It's one of these pieces. It's such a cool napkin. This will be for my to-dos. Just added some stenciling on the back. Then this is the week that you're watching the video. Again, I added one of these already printed pieces of ephemera from my basket here. These are called Butterfly Tags Large. These are just printed on regular copy paper, which is why they're not so vibrant. But obviously I don't want to throw them away, so I want to use them. So I made this little collage here on a paper bag, added some stenciling. And since some of that mica stain had come through from this collage here, I decided to add some more splatters in the same color to make it look a little bit more intentional. And I just love the combination. Obviously, this is my favorite color combination, although the blue is a little bit different, but I just love it. So maybe I'll stick the photos I still want to add in here, then I won't cut the other half of the paper bag. We'll see. Then here I made another collage. This is off camera using the second crow, which was on the same page as this crow. And in the back here, this bronze type color is my newest addition to my distress mica stains, which is called Crooked Broomstick. So it has this beautiful bronze color. And I used this also for splatters on here and some of the other pages, although I did mix for the splatters with some Van Gogh Deep Gold watercolor. But in the back here, the spray is purely the Crooked Broomstick. I really wanted to leave this yellow in here from the paper bag. And this is a very special snippet. It's from last year's Defemorember from a paper bag that Louise had sent me. And speaking of Defemorember, in case you've missed it, we've just had a Q&A session last Friday. So if you missed that, I will also link that one for you below. All the information you need about Defemorember 2024. And we are so excited. I hope you will be as well. And I hope so much that you will be joining us either again or maybe for the first time. I think we're going to have a blast. And in that same video where I made the crow collage and altered this belly band, I also made this page. So I used a music sheet on the background, added this from my ephemera kit. I embossed the wings again of the bee. And then I made this envelope from my kit. Again, embossed the wings and the eye of the bee and made a super bulky cluster here with a very bulky button from Dear Louise. But I love the way it looks. Then I also added after the video, I think, Sweet as Can Be. Oh yeah, I also added some stenciling, but that was already done in the video. Also adds a lot more character. And inside here, I think this I've done on camera and off camera. Then I added this piece of ephemera to cover the sewing from the button. This way it also prevents being torn with time. And in here I added another one of my ephemera pieces for my to-dos and just added this piece of Tim Holtz fabric as a pull out so that the card doesn't get lost in here because it's quite small here in this little envelope. And this button really helps to weigh down the flap, which is why I really wanted to add that. Also added some stenciling here and also on the belly band. And this is the last page for September, ending with September 30th and then going up until October 6th. So then I made this tuck spot here by just gluing one of the pieces of ephemera on another piece of music sheet. And then I made this grungy piece here by using one of the ephemera pieces, adding one of the sentiments from the kit, backing it with some blue cardstock and just adding a little dragonfly just because I didn't have a bee. I thought, what's the next best thing? A dragonfly on a little ball chain. And I can add my to-dos on the back here. And I love how that turned out, how grungy it is. And here's my fitness tracker, which is also looking quite sad because of when I was sick. But we are moving on. And this is a freebie. You can find this linked below as well. So before I show you my images for the October kit, I want to share with you what inspired this kit, which is another kit I already have in my shop, which I dearly love, which many of you have dearly loved. So thank you so much for all of you who have given me such kind feedback. It's just an ephemera kit about this kit and who have already purchased it. So thank you so much. I've already used one of the images, so this one is not the full page, but you can see the style. So these are Klimt style girls, and I really adore these. And so I thought rather than just having these cards, I wanted to have a full kit using this style, and I wanted it to be autumnal. So let me share first the regular background pages. Unfortunately, I forgot to tell my printer to print it borderless, so they have the white borders, which I will have to cut off. So I am super excited to share this kit. It's called Autumn Muse. These have all been printed on double-sided matte photo paper, 110 GSM. I do plan on also printing on the back side. And the reason why I have these printed out rather than showing you digital versions is because I actually plan on making a journal with these and other prints and other papers that I have in my stash. And I think I might try, Louise, are you listening? I think I might try a method that I've never tried before, that I am curious and also very anxious to try. Louise is currently posting a series about how she goes about making a journal and how she first organizes all her ephemera, and she's made these adorable little cabinets, which I will not be making, I can already say that. But she just approaches the way of making a journal so differently than I do, and when I see what she does, it makes sense, but it's not my way of doing it, and I just want to challenge myself to try her method, to make an informed decision whether I want to use that method in the future or not. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure how soon this series is coming, but hopefully sooner rather than later. But having said all that, this kit was a true passion project for me. As you can see, the kit features dreamy girls set against autumnal backgrounds. And these are, of course, also inspired by the iconic style of Gustav Klimt. Klimt has always held a special place in my heart, not just because of his playful gold-infused designs and the dreamy quality of his work, but also because of a personal connection, because I live where he was born and he lived and worked. So his influence feels extra meaningful to me. So I've tried to capture a touch of that Klimt magic in this kit, blending those elegant, whimsical elements with the rich, warm tones of fall. So I hope this Autumn Muse kit inspires you as much as Klimt's work has inspired me. And then, of course, we have ephemera to go with that. There's 8 pages as usual. On the first one, we have these journaling cards. I just love these images. I just have to say it. I love them so much. And of course, I had to add a little bit of romance. So this can be used, for example, as a belly band or a tuck spot, or could be cut up into smaller pieces. Here's page number 3. These are all romantic journaling cards. I think autumn just inspires me so much to just cuddle up with someone, which is why I wanted to include this. And maybe also inspired by the fantasy romance that I'm reading at the moment. I don't know. So page number 4 has all of these strips. Again, they can be used as belly bands or as tuck spots or whatever you wish. You could also make tags out of these. Then on page 5, we have 5 tuck spots and 1, what is this called? I forgot, but you can see it. Page 6 has 4 tuck spots, 1 romantic tag, and 4 circle images. Haven't had those in a while, I believe. 7 has some fun coffee cup images. Some hearts, because of course, why not? And these 2 large tuck spots. And number 8 has 2 file folders with a little cluster on top here. Either you can leave it as is or you can add your own cluster on top. And finally, I'll show you what it looks like printed out on regular copy paper, added to my planner pages. So the first page is this one, which is the second half of the monthly overview. So this is going to be the cover page where I add October. I haven't glued this one in yet because it just makes it so much easier if I want to stamp or emboss or stencil or whatever on this. The rest of the pages I have already glued in. For the October heading, I've used this 12-digit roller stamp. I will link one of these for you below from Amazon. Super handy. And for these numbers, I used this little set here, which is why they're all kind of wonky, but I'm totally fine with that. Then I have this piece of wallpaper in between here, my step tracker. Then my first week of October starts with October 7th because my September goes until October 6th here. But of course, there's enough pages for you to start a week earlier. So this is what it looks like as a planner page. And these I have stamped with this little date stamp. So I have a paper bag here in the middle. Then I left this blank for maybe books or whatever I want to add here. So maybe just to remind you, I have 4 signatures for 4 months in each planner, and each signature has 4 folded A4 pages, plus I always add 2 smaller pages in the middle. So for this month, it's the wallpaper and it's the paper bag. So this is the next week. I just love how dreamy these look. And we have this week. And we have another empty spread with the other half of the paper bag. And the last week going until November 3rd with the second half of the wallpaper. And then on the last page is again my fitness tracker. Before I put this planner away, I just want to also mention that I do have a flip through video of this planner, which is May through August of this year. I have both a version with commentary and I have an ASMR version with only paper sounds. So as always, I want to stamp the month on my October title page, and I always use these Dilution stamps by Diane Reevely called Boxed Monthly DYB79996. And rather than stamping it directly on the page, I'm going to use some black cardstock. Kind of seems more dramatic that way. Since we're talking about Klimt style, of course, I'm going to use gold embossing powder. I currently have this one by Hero Arts. Usually I would use my embossing dabber, but one of you commented that you get a more clear impression if you use an embossing stamp pad. So let's switch it up and use the stamp pad instead. And then we can compare it to the September one and see if it actually makes a difference. I usually like using the dabber because it's more juicy, but let's try it. I do actually have the feeling that it's more crisp and finer. Let's see once it's embossed. So this looks really good. And if we compare it to September, I actually used a different gold. But yeah, you can see the October is definitely finer than the September. Do you see that? So it does make a difference. So thank you so much for that tip. So that means especially for detailed stamps or words, it totally makes sense to use a stamp pad. That is very valuable information. When using your embossing ink or your dabber, always make sure you clean your stamps because that gel is very sticky. I usually don't bother cleaning stamps if I use regular ink, but this totally makes sense to do. In case you're new here, I also want to mention that my kits come both in US letter size and A4 size. So please be sure to choose the correct format. And you can find this kit linked below. So how do we place it? I have the feeling it needs something underneath still to make it pop more because it's kind of like dark on dark. I would love to add like an orangey background, but orange is not really a color I have, especially not like in cardstock, but maybe we could color something. So let's make some swatches and see what might work best. I have Rusty Hinge Distress Oxide. Might be a bit too brown. Oh no, actually it's quite orange. Actually, that is not bad at all, but let's try the others as well. I have Wild Honey. Ooh, also not bad. No, I think I like the rusty hinge more. So that's not it. Then I also have the Wild Honey Distress Stain Dauber. Oh, that's very yellow. Nope, that's not it. And lastly, I have Carved Pumpkin. So these are no longer available. Ooh, look how juicy. That might be it. Oh, that's perfect for October, isn't it? That will make it pop. Yes. So let's take another scrap of cardstock and color this. I just love how easy these daubers are to use. Don't have to get messy with paints or paintbrushes or anything like that. I just love it. I want to make this very intensive. Yes. Orange is so not a color that I gravitate towards, but I think it works so well with this background. So let's glue this on. Just want to leave like a narrow border. Let's see if I can cut straightish. Always a challenge. Oh, that was not bad, Barbara. Good job, good job. We have to praise ourselves when we do something well. Oh, look how much this pops now. I love it. So where do we place it? It's kind of cool to have it in her hair. She's dreaming of October. No, that's weird. Should we just stick it down here? Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Don't overthink things, Barbara. Keep it moving. And then I want to add some more gold because I want this page to be like over the top. It's a title page. It needs to have its moment. You know what I mean? So this is why I'm happy. I did not glue it in yet. So I'm going to take this stamp. Why? Because I think this is so similar to these little swirly things that we have all around here. And of course, we're going to do these in gold. This is by PM Artist Studio. I will link their site for you below. They have the most fun foam stamps. I'm so in love with them. They stamp so well. They are so easy to clean. They are light and fun. So for this, I'm going to use my dabber. These also work great with acrylic paints, by the way. Just always be sure to clean them afterwards. And another reminder, because I haven't said that in a while, if you have one of these embossing dabbers, store them upside down so that all the gel goes into this little dabber piece, the cushion. Let's put one down here. And dabbing it like this, I think works better than swiping it like this, which might be why it's called dabber and not swiper. I don't know. So we need 3, obviously. So we'll put another partial one here. And the third one will go up here in the corner. Clean your stamp. I think this is going to be magic. Hard to see where I put them. Yes. So if you don't have embossing tools, you could use a metallic marker if you want that metallic effect, and then just draw your own circles or whatever the design you like. And ta-da! Love it. Definitely worthy for a title page. And if I didn't have this stamp, what I would probably use is, if I had some floral stamps, I would add them here, but also embossed, because if I would just stamp this with regular ink, I don't think you would see it well on this busy dark background. Or use floral die cuts. Those would also look really cute on this page. But I'm happy with mine. So I'm ready to glue this into my planner. Yay! Some of you commented on my video where I showed you how I make this planner, that you have made your first junk journal planner, and that makes me so, so happy. But some of you have also said that you are falling behind. But I never want you to feel like you're behind, because we all have our own pace. We have busy lives. So my suggestion for those of you that are struggling with time would be, for example, if you want to add special memories, or, you know, like I have photos now that I want to add from a few weeks ago that I have not had the time to print out and add here. I could just add a sticky note where I want to add them and say, you know, print such and such photos and add. And I can do that at a later date. So I think adding sticky notes so that you remember what you wanted to add to a certain page is a great way to not forget what you wanted to add, but then you can do it when you have a little more time. I totally get that it's not always possible to keep up with these. You have to consider that I'm doing this as a full-time job, so obviously I'm going to have more time than you probably have. What is happening here? There we go. Oh, this makes me so happy. So next, I promised you that we were going to do one of these book things. So let me show you how I do that. And we'll put that here on this one. Or actually, I'm not sure when I'm going to finish it because I'm halfway through now. Is there even space to put it in here? Actually, there isn't. Well, I can always add it also as like a flip out page. Does it have to be in the month that I'm reading it? Because I'm pretty sure I will finish it before the end of September. It doesn't matter. I also finished this one in August and I have it in my September thing. It's totally fine. Let's not stress about it. Using a planner is not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to bring us joy, right? So let's just put it where we want to put it, which is going to be here. So I am on Google and I'm going to search for the title of my book, which is called The Crown of Gilded Bones. You could also take a photo if you actually have the physical book. I'm currently reading on my Kindle, so that's not going to work. So I'm just going to choose a good cover picture. For example, this one works perfectly. So I'm just going to take a screenshot. If you don't know how to do that on your computer, then Google for how to make a screenshot with whatever model you're using. Next, I want to search for the back of the cover. And again, let's go to images. That will make it easier. Let's find a good back image, for example, here from Amazon. Again, let's take a screenshot of this. This is smaller, so I hope if I enlarge this a little bit, it will still be legible. Next, I go to canva.com, which is free. So it's www.canva.com. So in my case, I already have this from the previous book, but you can just create a new page, whether that's US letter size or A4. I'm of course using A4 in Europe. And then I'm just going to upload my two images that I just screenshotted. And then I can just place them on my paper and make them any size I want to. I like to keep them the same, which is why I like to just use this format. So in this case, I'll just delete this and put this one here. And then the back side. And when I add these, I like to leave a space in between them because one of these is going to need a flap, which I'm going to cut from. I need to check which side I'll need to cut it from, but I like to have a white border on both of these so that I have a choice of where to actually cut the flap. So once I have these on my page, I can give it a title and download that. I usually just use JPEG format, best quality, download that. And then I can open it from my downloads as a JPEG and I can print this page, and I will print it on at least 180 GSM, maybe even 200 GSM, so that it has a nice weight. Always change media and quality to best quality, and then I can print. So then I have this, and I just need to cut them out. But as I said, I want to add a flap. And since it's going on a left page, I want it to open to the left, meaning I want the flap on this side. So that means when I cut here, I'm not cutting here, but I'm going to leave an edge of approximately like that. This is actually not very easy to read, so I should have chosen another image which had a higher quality. So that's something to take into consideration when you choose an image. I mean, I can read it, but it's a bit blurry. So I have my flap here, and I'll just take off these corners like that. And then we can just fold this. If you have a scoreboard, that is super helpful. I'm just too lazy to pull mine out right now. And I cut the back side just a little more narrow. So I cut off a sliver here. Because of this fold here, we don't want this going all the way to the fold. Otherwise, it won't be easy to flip it back and forth. By having it a little more narrow, it will be very easy to turn. So now I just need to glue these two back to back, which will give it a nice weight, and that way it will stay closed and not flop around in your book. And if they don't line up completely, like here, you can just trim off that part because we do want them to line up. Also here, I just need to correct that a little bit. Then I like to ink up the edges. Especially here of the flap, this one side that we will be able to see. That's just personal preference. If you don't plan to write any notes on it, you could glue on a background. But since I want space to add some notes, I will leave the page as it is and then just decorate the border. You could just do that with stenciling or painting or stamping or whatever. But as I mentioned before, I would want to use up my washi tape. So I'm going to make a border with those. And there we have our third book of the series. I just love having these in here and for giving them more space than just adding them to a list on the back. And I still need to do that actually. You know what I mean? And look how well it flips open and closed. But that is because the back side is a little bit more narrow. So let's find some washi to go with this cover. I'm not buying any more washies until I have used up a good part of these. Have you ever said that? I think I've said that a few times, but actually I've been really good. I haven't been buying washies in forever. So what can we use? I don't want to use any of these wide ones because they are too wide and I don't feel like measuring and cutting and all that. I want something that goes with the colors that I have. How about this one? This one has leaves on it. Perfect for autumn. Oh, and look, the cover has leaves on it. How perfect is that for autumn? I'm not so in touch with these covers because I'm reading on a Kindle and I don't have the physical book in my hands. And of course, the Kindle is black and white. So seeing these covers is very new to me. It's not like when you have the physical book. I think you have a much deeper connection with the cover. I think this will be fine. Let's do that. I think the reason why I don't use washi so much anymore is because it doesn't stick permanently, so it's kind of a pain in the rear. You know what I mean? So usually I would run this along my glue stick, but I don't know what length I need this to be. Oh, but I know what I can do. Hang on. Let's do this better. Because if you would just stick it down like this, the ends will start coming up. I have had that already happen with these here, which I just glued in a couple of days ago, and I had to glue down the ends separately. So this time, let's be smarter because I do want this to last a little bit longer. So once I know the length, can I... Oh, no, look, I can't pull it up because it's pulling up the paper. Okay, so then we just, in this case, of course it depends on your washi because each washi is different as well. But most of mine, especially because they're older, they will come up. So let's just glue down the ends. I mean, you know, this is just my planner. If I were to use washi in a journal that I'm going to sell, I'm going to make sure that that washi sticks down forever and ever. But since this is just my planner, this is just for me. You know what I mean? Nobody is going to care about these after I'm gone. Nor should they. They are here to make me happy and no one else. Well, maybe you. Maybe they make you happy. I don't know. Okay, so I'll add my notes once I have finished the book. It's not the best combination somehow, but it's okay. It's leaves, and we're in fall, so leaves, I think it's fine. So next, let's add something here. She looks a bit sad, doesn't she? I think she's sad because summer is over and it's been raining so much. She's so hoping for a beautiful autumnal October with lots of beautiful, colorful leaves. That's what it is. Let's add some romance to her life. Let's take this tag. This is from Autumn Muse ephemera number 6. And let's choose a tuck spot. How about this one right here? The question with these kind of tuck spots is always, do you cut them out with or without the flaps? I make the decision based on what I'm going to add to the tuck spot. If I'm only going to add one piece of ephemera like this, which is not very thick, I will not use the flaps because otherwise the piece of ephemera will keep falling out because this is too loose. If I plan on adding more pieces of ephemera, I will need more space in my tuck spot and I will leave the flaps on. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to cut them off. I like to always include them on my tuck spots in my digitals because this way you make your own decision on whether to leave them or not. First thing is always to ink up the edges. Since this kit is a little darker, I like using ground espresso rather than my usual walnut stain. So for the tuck spot, I again want to add some gold. And I'm going to use this foam stamp, also PM Artist Studio. These are called nested circles. There's also bigger ones. So this is the smallest one, and this time I will use the stamp pad again because this is a more intricate design. Let's do 2 partial ones. So I've heat embossed it and I've also stitched along the edges. So I can glue that down here. And for this tag, let's try something else. I unfortunately don't have a metallic pen which is thin enough, but I can use this white Posca pen. It's 0.7 millimeters. And maybe just make some fun swirls here on this dark background. Just to put my own touch on it, to customize it. We could add some gold splatters on it. So this is now the mixture of Van Gogh Deep Gold Watercolor and Distress Mica Stain Broken Broomstick. No, not broken broomstick, Barbara. Crooked broomstick. Why would it be broken? Why? So we have this now. And since those splatters went through here, I'm going to back this with cardstock. That will also make it more sturdy. I'll again use the black, which is so not me usually, but let's embrace something new. By the way, I forgot to mention, you helped me come up with the name for this kit. Are you aware of that? If you follow me on Instagram, You might have noticed that I've been posting a lot of stories with a lot of different polls, which I'm having so much fun with, and which apparently you're having fun with because you are voting. So that makes me very happy. Thank you so much for anyone who is engaging with my poll questions. So if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, maybe this is your motivation to do so. My account name is 49 Dragonflies. Very surprising, I know. So one of the polls I posted asked you which name you prefer for this kit, and I showed like a sneak peek of the kit. And one option was obviously the Autumn Muse, which it ended up being and which you ended up voting for. And the other one was something of autumn. I'll put it here so that you see what the second choice was. So thank you so much for helping me decide. So we have this now, very sturdy. So since this is a romantic tag, what if we make a fun tag topper with a heart? And why don't we do that with fabric? So I've chosen 2 fabrics, which might work. We have this one here. So that would be like a lighter, more colorful option, or we embrace the darkness. And we have this one, which actually has some fun swirls, which actually would be perfect. Oh my goodness. Should we just embrace the darkness? It's quite dramatic, isn't it? Let's do some drama. Why not? And since this is fabric and it's going to be a bit flimsy here, let's also add some cardstock in between. Let's draw a heart. The wonkier the better. This isn't very wonky. I want a wonky heart. See, when you want to make it wonky, it doesn't work. When you want it perfectly symmetrical, you're never gonna get it. So, oh no, we can make it bigger. What are you doing? Okay, and it's going to get even bigger because the fabric is going to be bigger than this. I could have just folded this in half, right? Like we used to do hearts, and then just cut half of it. And yeah, but then they're symmetrical. We don't want that. I don't want that. I don't know what you want, but I don't want that. Okay, and then let's glue this onto the fabric. Let's pick out a swirl. So this one here, I really want to see that swirl. Cut around that a little bit bigger than my heart. So we have the swirl, yay! And then we need a backside as well. So we'll add glue here and cut it out one more time. So we could either, no, this side, glue it on just on the front like this, and then the back would be like this, or before this dries, oh, the paper is splitting, that's fine. We can just put it on so that we see it on both sides. That does make more sense, doesn't it? And with the cardstock in between, it's nice and sturdy and it won't flop around. How is it that you have such a perfect fabric in your stash? Oh my goodness. Could not have planned this any better. So that can live in here. I so hope this kit brings you as much joy as it brings me. Let me know what you think. But most of all, I just hope that you enjoy working in your own junk journals or junk journal planners. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah.